Alright, what's up everyone? Before we get started for today's video, I just wanted to say my Discord is in the description below. There, you won't just be able to talk with me and other Star Wars fans, but you'll also have an opportunity to join my team. We are looking for voice actors, script writers, and video editors who have a huge passion for Star Wars and want an opportunity to be a part of something big one day. Just join the server, head to the bottom of all the channels, and you'll see the links you need to go to. Now that's enough of me talking, let's get right into the video. In Revenge of the Sith, we see the Jedi go and arrest Palpatine on their own. Today, we are going to find out what would have happened if Anakin would have taken a squad of clones instead of the Jedi. How would this affect how Anakin viewed Palpatine? Would he still fall to be Darth Vader? Let's find out. Our story begins with Anakin Skywalker taking his speeder back to the Jedi Temple. He has just learned a terrible truth. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. Anakin didn't know what to do. His life seemed like it was just crumbling all around him. He was extremely out of balance, but on his way back, he stopped and took a deep breath. He had no one around that truly cared about him except for Padme. Ahsoka was at the Siege of Mandalore along with Rex and half his legion. Anakin wanted to talk to the Jedi, but they just looked straight ahead and felt like they didn't even think about the consequences. He had Oppo and Fox, the clone who shot George Lucas's son in Revenge of the Sith, not Commander Fox, just wanted to make that clear really quick. But could he really talk to them about this? They were loyal to the Republic and therefore loyal to Palpatine, but straight up told Anakin he was a Sith, and as Anakin put the pieces together, he realized Palpatine was the master of Dooku, who was, well, before Anakin killed him, the leader of the enemy. That sounds like treason to Anakin, and he was sure the clones would view it the same way, or at least he thought so. Soon he landed at the Republic military barracks on Coruscant. Oppo and the boys were getting some rest in between the battles. They were upset that Torn Company and the 332nd got to see some action, but the rest was much needed. Soon Oppo and Fox saw their general, along with the other clones in the barracks, and they stood up and saluted the general. Anakin quickly told them to be at ease and told Oppo and Fox to come speak with him. They knew right away Anakin was off. He looked like he'd been crying. The bags under his eyes showed up like a bruised eye, and when he spoke there were cracks between his words. Both the troops looked at each other and just said, "Yes, sir." It wasn't exactly a morale booster to see your general like this, but to them, on a more personal level, they wanted their general okay. And seeing him like this was the #1 sign he was not. Once they both got into the room Anakin was in, and Anakin told them the story, they then understood why. Anakin sputtered out a lot of Jedi mumbo jumbo, but what they did understand was that Chancellor Palpatine was a Sith, who was the master to Dooku, who was the leader of the Separatists, and therefore Palpatine was playing both sides of the war. Anakin then explained how Palpatine was the key to everything. The clones didn't know how to process the information. Their commander-in-chief is a traitor to everything they know and love. They have to arrest him, but how do they do it? Oppo saw firsthand what a Sith can do. He was at Umbra, where Pong Krell, though he wasn't a Sith, he turned against the Jedi. They have no evidence or proof of Palpatine actually playing both sides, so what were they gonna do? But one thing was for certain. They were with General Skywalker every step of the way. After a tiny bit of discussion, it was agreed upon that the Chancellor had to be arrested, and pretty much they just had to hope he was dumb enough to leave evidence behind. And if the Chancellor was to attack them, it would be probable cause to use force, a peaceful arrest as you call it. It was an extremely risky plan, but most definitely a Skywalker plan. Oppo got to the barracks and rounded up the command for a meeting. They were all told of the situation, and they all told the troops that if they felt uncomfortable, that they could stay behind. It would be very possible that if they failed, they could be court-martialed or even worse. The commanders took the information back to the troops immediately, and soon enough the whole legion was ready for battle, or at least what remained of it. They've seen the worst of the war, and realized Palpatine was holding them back. Palpatine called Anakin back to Coruscant for Pong Krell. Palpatine was the enemy leader's master. They realized he was behind it all, and to end the war and hopefully live lives any of them ever wanted. Skywalker thanked them all and spoke up, saying if he attacked, even lethally, we are to stun him. We are not to shoot under any circumstance. This is still the Chancellor of the Republic, and it has to be done the right way. Anakin, truthfully though, was still thinking about his dreams. He didn't want to join the Sith, but he needed to save Padme. And to his knowledge, the only way he could is with Palpatine. The clones all heard their orders and acknowledged them, and then the squad selected boarded an LAAT towards the Chancellor's chambers, while the rest of the 501st marched towards the chambers. Anakin, Oppo, Fox, and a group of 6 other clones entered the Senate building and made their way up the Chancellor's chambers, but not before being stopped by Commander Fox. He noticed the movements and thought it seemed a bit sketchy. Oppo tried telling him the reasoning and that the Chancellor was under arrest, but the commander of the Coruscant Guard wasn't having any of it. There was, after all, no proof, and Commander Fox called for backup and told the Jedi and clones this was treason against the Republic. Anakin didn't have time for this. He explained that the Chancellor that they were protecting was the bad guy on both sides of the war. He was the person who started this and kept it from being finished. Anakin explained how Palpatine was his mentor until he told him that he was a Sith, like Dooku. At this point, the other CG members started showing up, pointing their blasters at the Jedi. Anakin looked at Commander Fox and said how he should have remembered Fives, and how the Chancellor ordered Commander Fox to kill Fives for virtually no reason. The commander fired back though, saying that Fives tried to kill the Chancellor of the Republic and pulled a weapon on the Coruscant Guard when they approached. Anakin looked at Commander Fox and shouted, "Do you even believe that? One of the best clones that ever existed, and think he would just throw it all away for a lie? Die for a lie?" Commander Fox didn't lower his weapon, but the other Coruscant Guard wavered, lowering their weapons a tiny bit, thinking about what Anakin just told them. But Commander Fox stayed firm. Anakin had to switch his tactic, so he looked at the commander and said, "If you arrest us, and Palpatine is somehow found for treason, you will be an accessory to the fact. You will be court-martialed, all to defend the master of the leader of the Separatists. All Coruscant guards here right now would be court-martialed." After he said that, Commander Fox wavered. He didn't know what to do. He was sworn to protect the Republic and therefore the Chancellor. But what happened if the Chancellor was a traitor? Fox didn't know. But Anakin swayed most of the Coruscant guards to lower their weapons. Commander Fox looked at Anakin and said that he didn't know what to do, that this was all so confusing. Anakin understood and calmed the commander. Anakin spoke. "After this, the war will be over. The Republic will be back to normal in a time of peace. And you would have had to worry about any of your brothers dying for a cause half of you don't even believe in. Palpatine murdered trillions of sentients indirectly, and it's time for him to be frightened. Anyone can join us on the march, and I swear to all of you, this is the right choice. The truth will come out eventually." Anakin soon had the 501st and some of the Coruscant guards to arrest Palpatine. Anakin told the remaining CG, including Commander Fox, who joined in for the attack, to set to stun and march into the office of the Chancellor. Inside the office, Palpatine felt into the Force and felt a light head towards him. This was the Jedi he expected. "Master Jedi," he said, but once he turned around, he was shocked. It wasn't Mace or any of the other masters like he thought it was gonna. It was Anakin with clones? This wasn't right at all. Anakin then walked in and said, "My Chancellor, in the name of the Senate of the Galactic Republic, you are under arrest." Palpatine then clapped back with a, "What law did I break? Being a Sith isn't against the law." Anakin then looked at Palpatine and said, "It is when you are conspiring with the leader of the Separatists." And Anakin saw Palpatine's jaw drop. They caught him, and Anakin figured out he was Dooku's master. Honestly, it was kinda dumb for Sidious to assume that they didn't know he was Dooku's master. The only known Sith Lords are Maul, Dooku, who was dead now, and Palpatine. He was the top of it all. Any smart Jedi could have put the pieces together. Before Anakin could pull out his lightsaber, Sidious unleashed an ear-piercing howl and lunged at Anakin. Anakin blocked the strike and immediately went on the offensive. All that was going through Anakin's mind, though, was how Palpatine needed to live. He couldn't die. The clones, with their blasters set to stun, fired at the Sith Lord while he was in battle with Skywalker, being extra careful not to shoot Skywalker. Commander Fox saw all this, and he knew where his loyalties lay. He was protecting the most evil man in the galaxy for years, and he had a built-up rage. He killed Fives under the order of the Chancellor, just for Fives to be right in the end. But then Commander Fox thought back to what Fives was frightened about, something about inhibitor chips to kill the Jedi? If he was right about Palpatine, was he right about the chips? Fox had a moment of realization before he grabbed Oppo and told Oppo to follow him. Oppo left Captain Fox in charge, and he followed Commander Fox. Meanwhile, in the Chancellor's chambers, Anakin and the clones fought Palpatine. There were only 4 clones left when Fox and Oppo left. It was truthfully a terrible decision on Commander Fox's part. He truthfully believed Anakin would have beaten Sidious on his own, and that's why he made the decision, not knowing Anakin's true conflict in the moment. Palpatine saw less clones and chose to attack them. He unleashed a massive force push that threw all clones, and even Anakin, off his balance. While Anakin was regaining his composure, 2 clones were swiped out with Palpatine's lightsaber and killed instantly. Anakin's anger grew even deeper. This war was about to be over, and these clones were dying at the final stretch, some of his closest friends and allies. Anakin re-engaged with Sidious before he could land a killing blow on Captain Fox. Anakin attacked Sidious aggressively, but with Sidious being proficient in all 7 forms of lightsaber combat, it was hard for Anakin to find any type of breach in Sidious's defenses. Anakin, though, thought he'd play a trick on Sidious, make Sidious think that he took the offensive. Anakin wasn't great at his master's form of defense, but he figured it would work for what he was trying to do. Anakin made it seem like he lost his footing and went back on the defensive, and Sidious smiled and chuckled and went on the attack, but that's what Anakin wanted. Sidious felt unstoppable, and that was until he was stopped by Anakin. As soon as Anakin felt the hardest strikes from Sidious, Anakin parried and attacked with swift grace even Master Yoda would be proud of. Anakin cut off both of Palpatine's hands, and Palpatine fell to the floor. He was in pain, but the darkness made him blind to that fact. He wanted the Jedi dead. And once the Jedi put force-restraining handcuffs on Palpatine, he shouted out an order to the clones. "Execute Order 66. The clones looked at each other, and for a split second, it was like they didn't know what to do, and then they fired upon Anakin. Anakin shouted, "Fox! Fox! It's me! It's me, your general!" But all Captain Fox was saying was "Gold soldiers follow orders," and fired upon Anakin. Anakin deflected the shots, pointing the redirections towards the walls not to hurt his friends, and kept on pleading with the 2 clones. Meanwhile, in the medical facility in the Senate building, Oppo contacted Commander Rex and asked if the battle was done. Rex confirmed and said that they were landing with Maul at the Jedi Temple now. Oppo immediately told Rex to grab Ahsoka after they dropped off Maul and head directly to the medical facility in the Senate building. "General Skywalker needs us." Rex was confused and looked at Oppo with confusion. Oppo then said it's about Fives, and for the safety of the Galactic Republic. Rex immediately knew what the problem was and told Ahsoka, who dropped off Maul to the temple and went straight towards the Senate building. In the Chancellor's office, Anakin was thinking. He had to incapacitate the 2 clones without killing them. While blocking bullets, he said he was sorry and force-pushed the 2 clones into the wall, knocking them out cold. Sidious stared at Anakin. "Padme will die without me. You know that, right?" Anakin just picked up Palpatine and he explained that that is why Palpatine was alive. Anakin then called Appo and Commander Fox, telling them to get a detachment of clones to search the Chancellor's office and personal quarters. They agreed, but they were still trying to figure out where exactly the inhibitor chip was. Anakin then told them what Palpatine said and how the Captain Fox and others turned on Anakin. Commander Fox and Appo just looked at each other, their worst fears being realized. Anakin then said he had Sidious in custody and took him back to the temple. They needed proof about his allegiance, and if they had any case of convicting the Chancellor. The remaining 501st that was marching made it into the office and started searching right away. They found holo recordings of Palpatine's Dooku. They found in his personal ship coordinates to Sereno, the homeworld of the Count, and holo recordings of Sidious talking to the Separatist Council. Palpatine knew he was done at this moment, but his plan wasn't finished yet. They still didn't know about the inhibitor chips, or so he thought. Once Rex and Ahsoka met with Commander Fox, they explained everything. Palpatine being the Sith Lord, Anakin fighting with him, and the clones turning on Anakin. Commander Fox looked at Rex and said Fives was right, and he explained how sorry he was with a look of disgust covering his face. Rex patted the other commander on the shoulder. He explained how they were all tricked, the clones, the Jedi, and the Republic, and to not dread over it, just aspire to make a better future. They then talked about the inhibitor chips and where it might be. Ahsoka had an idea. She could use the Force to look inside of a clone's head to find the chip if it was unnatural. It was a long shot, but they all agreed it was the best shot that they had. Appo agreed to be the one to go under, and once he was on the bed, Ahsoka put her hand on his head, looking for the idol. After a little bit, they found it, and they got a medical droid to insert a precision and pull it out. There was a chance the clones could die from this, but it was worth it to find out for the future. Soon enough, the droid had the inhibitor chip pulled out and Appo was back. The first thing he said when he woke up was, "The nightmares are gone." They then proceeded to do it with the rest of the clones. After they were all done, Rex and Commander Fox looked at each other, and Rex gave the order to do this with every trooper in their battalion. Soon enough, at almost all medical facilities on Coruscant, droids were taking out the inhibitor chips of all the clones at a maximum rate. As the Jedi were returning with their battalions from the battlefront, Rex and Commander Fox talked to every commander that happened to arrive and told them to do the same. Anakin returned to the Jedi Temple with Palpatine. Mace was the first one to greet him. Mace was supposed to go tell the Chancellor to give up his emergency powers, but with Maul returning, Windu decided to wait a couple more hours. By the time he was getting ready to show up, Anakin already had Palpatine. Mace asked what the meaning of this was, and Anakin just showed him the recording in the office. Mace saw everything, to when Anakin walked in, to when Anakin blasted the clones against the wall. Anakin said, "He is the Sith Lord Master, right under our noses the entire time." Mace had 2 Jedi Temple guards take Palpatine down to the lower levels of the temple where the prison was, and held him there for the time being. Anakin got word of what Ahsoka and the other clones were doing, and also let Windu know about the inhibitor chips in every clone. Anakin explained that the clones were made to betray the Jedi, all against their own control. Captain Fox had his removed and returned back to normal, with a bunch of apologies towards his general. Anakin and Rex also told him about Appo and Commander Fox's bravery putting the pieces together from Fives' experiments. Anakin then excused himself and made his way back to Padme's apartment. He waited there for her to get home, and when she did, she immediately asked what happened. She heard rumors that the Jedi wanted to take control of the Senate, but Anakin explained the true story. He went in with the clones after Palpatine told Anakin he was the Sith Lord, and how they have proof that he played both sides. Padme's jaw dropped. She was never a Palpatine lover, but playing both sides is something she never even thought of. They hugged each other and Anakin said, "I really wanted to kill him." Anakin truthfully knew this was against the Jedi way, but it didn't affect his emotions. Padme asked the question, and it was what Anakin's been thinking all day. "Well, why didn't you?" Anakin responded, "To save you from certain death. Only he had that power." Padme looked up at Anakin. "If I was to die, you have to let me die, my love. I never want you to lose yourself." If I was to die, I would always be with you. Padme then said it. You should have killed Palpatine. He's killed trillions. I don't want another trillion to die just because you left him alive so I could live. Padme then said, think of the bigger picture. Don't think just about me, but think about everyone in the galaxy while making that decision. Anakin then asked again how he could just let her die. And Padme, without even realizing it, pulled a Master Yoda. She said, you just have to learn to let go. It'll always hurt, but you'll always know, whoever it is you lost, that they're always with you, in your heart. This made Anakin realize something. He thought the Jedi were just prophets who talked in riddles. But now his wife said the same thing Master Yoda said about letting go. It was typical humanoid behavior to feel emotion. But to let it change your action and course is never okay. And the fact it took a civilian who wasn't even a Jedi to make Anakin see that was honestly kind of upsetting to Anakin. Padme then got up, looked to her husband, and said, it's time to reform this republic. As time passed, the Jedi and the Republic released proof that Palpatine was playing both sides of the war. He was the cause for countless lives to be lost, and because of this, every life during the war was a single murder sentence. He had trillions. This was the worst case of galactic murder in the history of the Republic. It passed with overwhelming majority that Palpatine was to be executed by the Jedi for the Republic. Before Palpatine could exit though, he seen countless clones around and quickly spoke into the speaker right next to him to execute Order 66. And he waited and waited for screaming, but nothing happened. Rex, who was next to Anakin in the Senate bod, got his inhibitor chip and showed it to Palpatine. He explained how it was out and how Palpatine couldn't do any more harm, and he was taken away back to the Jedi Temple to be humanely killed. The Jedi gave Sidious piece of the light before he was forever cast into darkness. After this, the Republic would go through deep political turmoil. It was said and agreed upon that no Force user could be the Chancellor, with the yearly midichlorian test to check. And after a long election process, Bail Organa would become the new Chancellor. Bail sued for peace, as the Separatists, having no leader now and realizing they were being played from the start, would make peace. Organa would give them permission to either rejoin the Republic or stay in their own state in the Outer Rim. The Separatists chose the latter. They had extreme military restrictions, but soon the clones started signing up to be defense forces on both sides of the borders. The Republic, along with the Separatists, would make reforms throughout their respective areas to get rid of corruption and increase the prosperity of their nations. Anakin Skywalker, through all this, would be made a Jedi Master for his contribution in getting rid of the Sith. And Padme would end up giving a healthy birth with Anakin right by her side. Anakin would stay in the Jedi Order, with Padme still staying as Senator of Naboo. R2 and 3PO were great with kids, and anytime the parents weren't home, they made great babysitters. The galaxy was truly in its Reconstruction era now, but at least it was a time of peace. And that's the end of today's story, everyone. Thank you so much for stopping by. I just want to say really quick, I appreciate all the support on the last video. It really meant the world to me. I went to sleep one night with like 2 views, and I woke up with 500. So you guys don't understand how amazing that is to me and how awesome it is to have pretty much support around me. So I really want to thank you. Of course, my Discord's in the description below. Go ahead and join that. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all whenever I post next.